Hello and welcome back to the Bayer Financial YouTube channel for our latest episode. Today I want to talk to you about how to achieve an investment valuation for your next HMO. Now this is a question that we get asked so many times, so yeah, it's a good one to answer and it's a good one to go into a bit more of a deep dive. Before I start, please could you give us a like and subscribe? It will help you see when we release new videos and it really helps us reach new audiences, so please could you do that before I start? Thank you. So let's get into it. How do you achieve an investment value for your HMO? So I'll caveat this to start with a few things. So firstly, when I'm talking about HMOs, it is really important that we look at what lender you are going to, because the majority of the lenders out there will only ever give you a bricks and mortar valuation on your property. So it's really important, you do need to speak to a specialist broker, because no two brokers are the same, no two lenders are the same, and there are lots of different ways of valuing HMOs. But as I said, most lenders do value it as a bricks and mortar. So if you are looking for that investment value, you do need to go to a specific lender. However, those lenders do tend to be a little bit more expensive. So the question is it worth it? What will the uplift be? And yeah, but is that going to work in the situation that you're in? So if we think about HMOs, we can put them into different categories. So we'll start by the easy ones to look at. Firstly, let's look at sui generis planning. So large HMO properties, 7 bedrooms or more. Now, it's really important that you have got the correct planning. A licence is not planning, but assuming you do have the correct planning, that property should always be looked at on an investment basis. Again, as long as you go to the right lender, but the valuer, if they're allowed to, will always value that on an investment basis. So that's a nice easy tick in a box. On the other end of the spectrum, if you've got a property that looks and feels like a family home, and you might have made some minor changes to that to convert that to an HMO. So generally what we see is kind of older student housing stock. So you've got a 3-bedroom property where the downstairs living space has been converted to a bedroom. There may be an additional bathroom that's been added. There may be some changes that have been made, and obviously fire doors, smoke alarms, all those kind of like licensing requirements have been added. In that scenario, you are not going to get anything more than a bricks and mortar valuation. So the valuer will use sole comparable properties when they're looking to value that property. But the reason behind that is because the valuer is looking at what is market value. So if this property came to be resold on the open market, how would it be sold on? And with something like that, no one's going to pay a premium or an additional value to that property. They could go and do it themselves very easily, very cheaply. So there's no additional value. So chances are that's going to be sold on as a family home, because that's where most of the property transactions that come through are for. So that's those two easy tick boxes. Then we come to this middle ground area where you've got properties that haven't got the right planning or don't need the right planning to convert it to an HMO. So we're talking 5 or 6 bedroom properties, but equally they are not family homes anymore. So in this area we're talking about properties that have got, as I said, 5 or 6 bedrooms. Generally they're all ensuite rooms. They are large rooms. They may have kitchenettes in them. They may have, in the kitchen facilities will be suitable for 5 or 6 tenants. So you've got 2 hobs, 2 cookers. You've probably got a utility space with maybe 2 washing machines, tumble dryers, all those things, all those additional things that have been set up. I would also normally see things like large hot water tanks, to enable all the showers to be on at the same time. You've got lots of things that are kind of integral to the building that mean that the client has spent quite a considerable amount of money converting this property to an HMO. So these are where I call the kind of overdeveloped properties. So, and the idea is, if you had an investor who was looking to buy something off the shelf, turnkey investment, they would be looking to buy something like this for their property. So something where they don't need to do anything to it themselves. It's a lovely refurbished property, but you would expect them to pay over the odds, over the top of bricks and mortar, because there has been this extensive refurbishment and conversion that has happened. So I would call these overdeveloped properties. So they're not properties that need planning to do any of the conversions, unless you don't see extensions that require planning, but you don't need anything for change of use. So it is still C3 to C4 under PD. It still could be sold on as a family home in theory, but it is something that an investor would look at as something that they would want to buy. I'll also caveat this by saying that location is really important with this, for two reasons. So one, is it going to be somewhere that an investor will look at? So is it somewhere that's got a good demand for HMO room rentals and sales as well, in terms of there's a track record there, so other investors can see that the potential for that uplift in value. And then the other thing that I would say, and this is where it becomes a little bit more tricky because it's not quite as black and white, is that if a valuer is valuing that property on the market rent, if all the properties in that location other than yours are much lower end, more basic HMOs, the comparables that they will find are going to be a lot lower, and it's therefore very difficult to say that the market rent that you're achieving, the rent that you're achieving is market rent. It does become more difficult. So you need an area that already has got an established market for HMO room rentals, because that is going to help achieving that investment value figure. So yeah, you need something which is a bespoke product that you will pay over the odds for as an investor. And those properties, again, as long as you go to the right lender, because most lenders with smaller HMOs will only work on bricks and mortar, you do need to go to a specific lender, and in that instance you are likely to get an investment value. What I find tricky is clients who are trying to make money out of nothing and are trying to create an investment value on something that they're not prepared to spend the money on, or that they don't need to spend the money on. So I've had quite a few examples where clients have taken properties, maybe added some en suites into them, but not really done anything else. Like the kitchen was still in good condition from the purchase. There's not generally much that needs to be done, and they're just kind of trying to create this bespoke product without really putting the investment into the property. And time again, we will not get an investment value on something like that. You need to be doing a proper renovation, and like I said, things like the large hot water tanks, like the plumbing system that supports having 6 adults living in a property. Like, it's all those like integral things to the building, not just how it looks at the end. So yeah, you do need to be a bit careful. You can't make money out of nothing in this world. Anyone that tells you can is lying. You do need to look at what are you trying to achieve out of this. If you're trying to recycle your money, you do need to look at location, but there are plenty of locations across the country where you can, generate a good uplift, and you can get the majority of your money back out from that uplift and the refurbishment. I have rambled on for quite some time, and I will come back to this with some more information around how we calculate investment values, what those figures look like in terms of how you can value a property, how you can work out what money you'll be able to pull out of it. But I think the key takeaway from today is making sure that your HMO fits into that category, so that it's eligible to get that investment value in the first place, and making sure that you're appraising deals on that basis. So are you looking at properties where you can add value in terms of loft conversions, rear extensions? Can you create 5 or 6 really good sized rooms where you can put kitchenettes in there? Everything has got en suites, you've got lovely big rooms, you're not squeezing 6 rooms in where it should really be 5 or 4, and you have genuinely got the space in order to carve that up and make a really good quality property that somebody would be prepared to pay that premium for. So they're my top tips for today. I hope that was helpful, and I will come back with some more information next time.